see you see SpongeBob when SpongeBob was doing like his like pro-union organizational stuff during the this is like now a very topical Super Bowl conversation. But like when did we talk about this at all when the Super Bowl happened and Nickelodeon was like you can watch it but
I watched
in
it.
SpongeBob mode?
I watched it.
You watched the SpongeBob version of the game?
I watched at least half of the Super Bowl with SpongeBob because it was significantly better.
What the fuck are you guys talking about?
Okay, so what they did was they had two humies hanging out with
two normies
hanging out with CG basically VTuber versions of Patrick and SpongeBob.
Somewhere in the stadium, Tom Kenny and Patrick Fagerbacher are like in a mocap suit with phones pointed at their face reacting to the game.
Yeah, and they would do really great stuff. Like if it was getting boring, they would be like, there's slime in the fans, and they would just have like a section of a CG'd section of the audience being slimed, and then they would have close-up shots of kids who were slimed to insert and to make it more believable. It was a highly coordinated production. It was.
Are we still? I don't think we can slime kids anymore.
They're getting slimed, baby.
Why?
Swaths, Kevin. Swaths of the arena were being slimed. There were slime cannons firing everywhere. There were other things as well. But it was incredible because SpongeBob and Patrick were commenting on the game, and like they were the perfect. It's actually a great thing to watch if you're not a football fan because they were explaining the game very well through them as they had.
I didn't really expect you two, of all people, to be like, you want to see a SpongeBob and Patrick improv VTuber sport ball thing. But
it was so much more interesting than watching the actual Super Bowl, Kevin.
Yeah, I think I found the process of, is the NFL like hemorrhaging young viewers? I think they are. We got to get the kids into this.
Perhaps it's when there's no money for after school sports, and also parents don't want to subject their children to repeated head trauma.
Also, video games are little child mind drugs.
Yeah, I would get way more satisfaction playing I don't know, Lethal Company with my little 8-year-old friends.
Yeah.
Than running and doing drills.
But by your little 8-year-old friends, you're talking about your cousins, right?
Oh, yeah. I also meant in my fictional mind where I get transported back to being a kid like Goku.
Oh, okay.
I'm still a school guy. I'd much rather play video games than do sports.
I thought, Chad, that you had forgotten to tell us that you were Billy Madisoning yourself. And that you had begun school again for the thrill.
No, that was not a good place for me.
It's good. It's good that you know it and you haven't gotten nostalgic and like lied to yourself about those days.
Do you guys ever, I think we could talk for 10, 20 minutes about the weird landscape of CG and sports for kids, but now that you bring this up, Paul and Kevin, do you ever think about like what you would do if you went back as a kid and you knew what you knew now about the world? Like what you would do different if you could do school again?
I did everything fucking perfect.
No notes from Kevin.
Perfect run. No mistakes.
Dude, I had fun. I made lifetime connections. I was true to myself. I was recognized by my peers.
I survived.
I'd feel less bad about myself, I think. But in terms of how I conducted myself and what I did, like, I did high school perfectly, and I never want to go back.
I've been the same person for 40 years now. And
well, I can't say that about myself.
And I can tell you this. Well, I could tell you this. So standing on a cliff of 40 and looking upward and backward, I could say that even if I knew what I knew now, I could safely say, as a person, a human being that will always fall back into their cycles, I'd do the same shit. I would be like, I'm gonna nail this, and then I would go back into it, and I'd be like, all this video game time is nice. I will do no additional things in school, and I will not participate in any clubs, and I will just use this time to beat all the JRPGs I missed.
I think you're right. I guess I just sometimes fantasize about getting to redo social faux pas that I...
Yes.
Do either of you guys like...
Well, those are the...
middle of the night, minding my own business, and I'll just flash to a moment of trauma where I like embarrass myself going, God, I wish I could redo that. God, I wish I could redo that. Just so that goes away from my brain.
Yeah, but that happened once like alcohol entered the scene in college for me.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where my regrets are. College kid Kevin maybe should have never gone to college.
Don't go to college at all. What are you doing? What are you doing spending all that time in college? Don't do it.
Don't do it, man. It's like $90K to go to the $90K a year to go to the university near me, or is it $90K a semester? I forget.
It could be either.
I'm not pro college, not hardcore pro college, but I do want to encourage engineers, doctors, and other people who keep us alive to continue going to college, please.
Go to those colleges, but
I would like for those people to still exist and have gone to college. Experts, who needs them?
Just to make a robot that stitches me up like Fallout. Just do that. I'm good.
Yeah.
I think we're stifling the medical field by having everybody do the same fucking thing, Like, let's have some people start from the bottom and figure out medicine.
All right, you've been a little more chaos.
Just reset our understanding of knowledge.
Yeah.
Medical side.
Yeah, see what they figure out. Yeah, tons of people will die, but...
You're about to quote Vanessa Hudgens during the pandemic. Do you remember that early on? Where she's like, I mean, people will die, but it's going to happen.
This is Kevin's game designer brain being like, throw a little RNG in there. I've designed a roguelike, so I like RNG a little bit. Throw it in there. Fun things will happen.
Yeah, I don't want a doctor who has to rely on other people. I want a doctor who pulls themselves up by their bootstraps.
Made their own form of medicine and just kind of tried it out on people as they went about. More Dr. Moreau's.
And if I'm too weak to live through that treatment, then I guess I'm gone, Like
the herd has been strengthened. You're right.
Yeah. I'm always talking about strengthening the herd.
You're always railing on. You are always railing on about strengthening the herd and lunch pail doctors.
Yeah.
And I'm always more worried about the danger of the herd, like, are wolves going to come and pick off our stragglers at the end of the night kind of thing. No one ever talks about that.
I'm the wolf.
Right?
I'm trying to pick off the stragglers.
He's the wolf.
Oh, you're the wolf. You're not even in the herd? God,
yeah.
Kevin's not even in the herd.
I know.
He's a wolf.
He just revealed that he's a CIA plant by the wolves.
Oh. Dude, wolf CIA is pretty cool. Regular CIA did some bad stuff, but wolf CIA.
I hope there's a wolf CIA in the Mountain Home world. Wolfman CIA.
Yeah, wolf CIA is just where things are buried that no one else can know about. Literally.
I feel like wolf CIA mostly doing bad shit to other wolves.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah, they're probably disrupting other ecosystems so that they can. Right, like whatever it is, they want to we want to disrupt this ecosystem in this forest to make too many deer, so we'll eat like kings.
Yeah, really, they're taking out other apex predators. Well, I guess that's kind of what the CIA does too. So it actually lines up nicely.
Do they wear sunglasses or not, though? Let's ask right now.
They have to wear sunglasses. They have to put a little paw up to their ear to take a call.
Somehow the most suspicious behavior to put your hand up to your ear kind of tells you exactly who you are, but,
It's cool, though. Putting your hand up to your ear to take a call, no one does it, and it's sad. Honestly, if more people click their earpiece in to take a call, I feel like we live in a more magical
You never
society.
did it with your cell phone when you would put the cell phone up and you cover the other ear?
The
international sign for leave me the F alone, I have a phone call to take.
I'm picturing more there's an earpiece in your ear and you're touching the earpiece with one finger too.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a hidden earpiece, but not a hidden earpiece.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
I mean? Yeah.
You're just kind of touching your ear and pretending you're on a call, and you're nodding, being like the eagle is in the package.
Yeah, saying fun cryptic things.
Yeah, if that happened more, I'd be happy. But it's mostly just people on the street talking their loved ones through problems.
Is that all phone calls? Is that what you're summarizing?
If I'm thinking about ambient phone calls I've seen people have.
People don't have fun phone calls anymore.
No.
If we're talking about fun things, we're texting each other those things. The call is for the bad
True.
thing.
We finally have unlimited minutes, and now we're not using them.
We just talked it all out. Once we had it, it was good for the first couple days of unlimited minutes, but we ran out of shit to talk about.
I miss voice memos. There was something that Dom and I were the lone people ever using voice memos to each other. You send a little like BioShock audio log.
Yeah, Satchel will do that to me occasionally. Like I'll text him one thing and then I'll get like a 10-minute voice memo response. It's the most detailed thing, and it's a delight. It's like a little mini podcast.
That never stopped, Chad. You can still leave a voice memo.
I don't think I have the feature anymore. There's like some weird, speaking of CIA, there's like some weird subterfuge going on between the main smartphones of Android and Apple. Like, do you guys ever notice that where if you're sending your stuff to like someone on the other type of phone, all of your stuff gets de-resed?
Yeah, there's a war going on,
they're intentionally
Chad.
making it bad.
Yeah, there's a war going on, and all you damn Android folk are the ones who are starting it.
It's our fault?
Yes.
I mean, Chad, you are the one turning our text green in our group chat. I'm sorry.
That's not my fault. That's Apple saying that they're making it green.
Well, I mean, if you just submit to Apple's whims, then we could look at beautiful blue text together.
My texts are all gray when everything comes in. There's no color to it, and I like it like that.
If you would simply put your body supine into the warm Apple waters and join us, our pictures would be beautiful and in full resolution.
Do you guys know you can desaturate your entire phone screen now? Chad, this is useless for you since you live
I might
free
have
on
this
Android.
feature. You don't know.
I'm sure the CIA wolves are trying to steal it right now.
Yeah, desaturate your phone. Like,
yeah,
lower the
I saw my friends doing this. So you like your phone less. But actually, if you go into settings and
display and brightness.
I think it's...
Doesn't look like it.
All right, everyone listening, open up your phones. We're going to go through the settings
I'm going through it right now, and everyone's going to be like, Kevin, this was a great time. We're happy about it. It's in accessibility, and then...
Isn't it great? Hold on, I just want to... this is big... I just need to call out. This is a moment in human history where we finally moved beyond the stupidity of radio, where things had to happen on the show. You know, like things they couldn't have dead air. You had to be engaging. So people could just hang out with us ambiently on the internet. That's what you're getting right now. Accessibility. Okay. Let's see. Return accessibility.
And then now I gotta find it. So Chad's gotta fill the.
Oh man, I had the time filled.
All right, no,
I know, but I was listening to you talk, and I can't read and listen to you talk.
I watched Sonic 2 last night.
Oh, how was it?
How'd it go?
I think it's a movie made for babies.
Okay.
Chad, did you feel that way about the first one?
The first one?
Yeah.
Somewhat. Yeah. I felt like, in my mind, if you told me, what's the target demo for Sonic 1? It's like an 8 or a 10-year-old.
8-year-old.
And this one, I was like, this is for 5-year-olds. Sonic just talks about being a hero, but he doesn't really have an arc. Y'all, there's like a 25-minute sequence in the middle of this movie where Sonic and Knuckles and Tails and Robotnik aren't even in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even about James Marsden. It's about James Marsden's wife's friend having a wedding in Hawaii. And it's like, who is this for? The parents? It's so boring. Even though it's about a CIA... It's funny enough, the CIA stage a fake wedding. Okay. Spoilers for Sonic 2.
Okay.
This guy that we've never seen before is marrying this side character woman, the woman from White Lotus, who is... And they're getting married just in case James Marsden accidentally invites Sonic to the wedding so that everyone at the wedding can arrest Sonic.
Does Sonic choose not to attend the wedding?
Yeah, Sonic's not supposed to come, but then he has a portal ring. They give Sonic portal rings, which means they can travel wherever they want at any time.
Great.
But then
what's the point of running then?
Sonic never runs in this fucking movie.
What do you mean? He's Sonic the Hedgehog.
I know, dude. He spends more time driving cars. It's like Sonic racing. He's driving Ford F-150s.
Well, kids love those. 8-year-olds love.
Kids love
Ford
it.
F-150s.
Kids love Sonic in a car, and he can't, as opposed to just running. But also there's portal rings. So at some point, Sonic and Tails go on this Arctic excursion to Russia, and they're trudging through the snow, and we might need to stay in this cabin at night, Tails. I was like, well, it sounds like you could just put a ring and go wherever you want. So
yeah, you could
just do this.
You could just set a waypoint where you are, then warp somewhere nice to sleep.
Or Sonic, you could run. You could run Sonic. And it's that level of I don't think this is good.
Video game design has finally come for our movies, and fast travel has been enabled, and now all adventure and exploration is destroyed.
It's true. Settings, accessibility.
Thank you, Kevin.
Display text and size. Then you go all the way down to color filters, third from the bottom, and then turn color filters on, and you can select grayscale. And suddenly, you don't have colors on your phone no more. You can look at your phone in black and white, and everything's old-timey, and you don't have to like being on your phone anymore.
Kevin, thank you for giving us that information. And Chad, I just want to say, great time, Phil.
Thank you. If I could just say an end with this, in that everyone loves these movies. Multiple friends have been like, Chad, you'll love it. You love Sonic, you like these. I don't know what's going on anymore.
I'm proud of you, Chad, because you're pretty ride or die for Sonic, and he's got to be called out for what he does to people.
Thank you, but I'll call it. There's a lot of bad Sonic stuff. There's a lot. It's tough to be a Sonic fan.
Is it?
What? It is tough to be a Sonic fan.
You're like, it's tough to be a Spider-Man fan. It's tough to be an X-Men fan. It's tough to be a Sonic fan.
I'm going to point back to the watch one thing one time and move on to the next thing argument from the last episode at this exact moment.
Sonic should be a freedom fighter. Sonic is, at his core, a freedom fighter. He liberates animals from an evil human that is trying to turn beautiful creatures into robots. And as soon as you don't have that with Sonic, as soon as he's just an alien from another world who wants to make a bucket list of things to do before he dies, and there's no care about stopping fascism or capitalism or industrialization, he's nothing.
Is that the story?
He's just like a little Deadpool, but less funny.
Is that the story? Does he want to do a bucket list thing?
That's the first movie. The first movie is, of course, kids love this, is he's going to have to leave his village of his town of Knothole, or Green Hills. It's called Green Hill is the name of the city. And he's going to have to move. So he's like, I'll make a bucket list of things I'm going to do before I have to leave Earth. And it's like, oh, cool. Kids love that Morgan Freeman movie, The Bucket List. They're going to love that Sonic does this.
Kids love Mementoing Mori.
Get him started early.
Yeah.
If he's not a member of the Animal Liberation Front, what are we even fucking doing? If Knuckles isn't defending his homeland, and that the Chaos Emerald being the source of sustainment for his world, if instead he is a warrior trying to get a blood diamond because of tribal conflict.
Paul, how long do we let Chad do this? How long do we let him go?
He'll tucker himself. Don't worry about it.
Just a misunderstanding of what makes these characters interesting and fun. And so I will say this. I watched this last night, and I remember going is all kids entertainment just bad? Am I working in an industry of just bad stuff for babies?
That's clearly wrong.
That's
clearly wrong. That's clearly wrong because we're going to talk about some good ones today.
Exactly. Because I was like, wait, no, just the other night, I watched an amazing episode of The Adventures of Pete and Pete that really spoke to the core of me, and this was made 30 plus years ago and does all of this better. And that's why we're here today. Welcome to Goosebumps.
Whoa! Wow. Got us right in there.
To talk about not the works of R.L. Stine like we usually do. I'm one of your hosts, Chad Quandt.
I'm Paul.
I'm one of your hosts, Kevin Cole.
Ooh, Kevin's finally dropping the last name in here. There you go.
Yeah.
Someday you'll learn Paul's last name.
Don't look for me.
Normally we read the works of R.L. Stine and give them the hard-hitting critique they deserve. We've done that recently. We did an adventure book.
We've eaten all of our R.L. Stine veggies on our plate. So we get to have a little treat.
a little syrupy dessert, please. Just a sweet little treat. And that is a return to the nostalgic world of The Adventures of Pete and Pete.
You know, I would love to say that this is a dessert, but this is more like a small, delicious, and refreshing plate or bowl of like a palate cleanser, like maybe like a granada or like a some sort of just icy treat that's going to just fully cleanse the palate so that we can continue the shit buffet that is Horrorland Goosebumps series.
It is a treat that is more nourishing than our main course.
Indeed.
If the doctor from Human Centipede unhitched our mouths from the centipede and was like, you get to have one dinner, you get to have one normal dinner, what are you going to have? This is
with our gaping, hard stenched breath, we would say, Day of the Dot, Pete and Pete, please.
Yeah, dude, Day of the Dot.
Kevin, you recommended this episode for us.
Yeah, this episode just kind of plays in my head when I close my eyes and I need to see something good. I think about this episode a lot. I think it's kind of the episode of Pete and Pete for me, even though
Wow.
later seasons of Pete and Pete would be like, this is not what the show's about. The show's about little Pete being wacky. And like, he gets to be wacky in this. We do get a nice little Pete B plot in this. But for me, I'm just like, this is a show about how beautiful and wonderful suburbia is in the 90s, being a high schooler, and how much it sucks and how weird adults are.
It's also it's like a subtle love
Not
story.
subtle. This is
beautiful
an
love
entirely
story,
unsubtle love story.
Well, yeah, until the end, I was like, oh, are they kind of dancing around that maybe Pete and Ellen have a thing for each other? Like, is this about as PG as they can get?
They're hitting it in episode 2. Episode 2. But like any good love story within a sitcom, we are giving it in its best form or closest to its best form early, only to be robbed of it so that the tension can boil under the surface of the rest of the series.
Yeah, this could be like the finale for Pete and Pete.
It
like,
surely
could
could.
Yeah.
It surely
the moment, but it's episode 2.
Yeah,
That's so bizarre. I didn't remember this episode very well at all, so I was shocked that they did this. And you're right. This establishes a romance between Pete and Ellen that they never call back to?
No, they do.
They do.
Like, there are episodes about Ellen and with Ellen where, like, they're kind of on the fence still after this, where it's like, Ellen's a girl and a friend, but is she my girlfriend? Like, kind of thing. And it's the same wishy-washiness that Pete has in this episode that kind of, like, drives a wedge between him and Ellen, where, like, Pete can't really commit. He doesn't really know how to return, like, all the stuff Ellen is putting down in science class about hydrogen atoms.
Let's say that was such an interesting way to start this episode. Yeah.
And I before we get into this, I just want to say I love this show and I love this episode. I'm gonna say at the end of this episode that I have a couple of bones to pick. And we'll save that, and that can be a little bit of if you're listening to this right now, look forward to that. There's going to be.
Feel free to pick bones as they come. Like,
stay tuned, listener. There's going to be some bones.
There's going to be a little friction in this Pete and Pete episode.
There's some compromise here in how things kind of go down. The fight scene in this is laughably bad.
Yeah,
but we'll get to that.
No,
later.
my points will come at the end. They are. I'm not gonna say it. Actually, I'm gonna save it.
Okay,
leave the mystery open.
We also have some other like side content to talk about after we talk about Day of the Dot.
We do,
but okay. So Pete Wrigley is a member of the Fighting Squids Wellsville marching band. Big Pete Wrigley. I thought there was a beautiful romanticness to being a marching band member.
I was not a marching band person.
Neither was I.
And you weren't.
Yeah,
Chad, you were on the football team itself.
I was never. Yeah, I didn't have the ability, as fun as that would have been, to run off the field and go join the band to play a song and then go back on the field to not score the big touchdown. That would have been very fun.
I have no musical ability, but I always kind of admired the vibe of marching band kids.
Well, there's a great quote to open this one up, and I forget what is before this, but they're talking about people judging them and all. And Pete says the thing was we just didn't care. And that is so true of band kids. Band kids are their own, and we all know this, I think, at this point. Or maybe this has dropped off in the recent years. But back when we went to school, band kids were like their own ecosystem with their own hierarchies of popularity. And there was like its own world that I never broke into. I always viewed it from the outside, and I truly felt like they went to a different school than I did.
Like the band ecosystem in my high school felt very flat, where there was no hierarchy. Everyone was just kind of vibing and cool, but they were closed off. Like band kids and the theater kids did not interact very much.
Yeah, same. There was I had friends who were in bands, and they talk about it sort of like they had been forged in flame and gone through hell together.
Yeah,
but also they didn't seem to ever like it.
It also seems to me that there is always this like insanely intense band director hiding behind band that everyone hates, but also like goes along with very much like band director Markle, who is. I love the performance the actor gives.
Michael Gaston here, who's the actor, who, if you go to his IMDb, has been working constantly sinse this.
Good.
For good reason, because he clearly knows what he's doing. He is in... No, he does. I think he really nails it in this. This will lead to one of my bones. I think that if you look at his IMDb, you can clearly see that he's a good character actor. He was in, his most known thing is First Reformed, which is the Paul Schrader movie. I have not seen this one. I've heard nothing but great things about it. Paul Schrader is incredible, and I personally believe his choice of actors is very good. I think that this guy is really putting in a lot of work, and he does things in this show because there are moments where everything is on him. The beginning of this episode starts out with a shot of the kids on one side of the room and the shot of Mr. Markle on the other. And Mr. Markle has to make every performance and every line in this unique and delightful, and he does that. The very first thing we see of him is him opening a letter from what is it from? I guess the state competition or the regional competition.
Yeah, they made it to states, and like he blows in the letter to
he blows it open. He dramatically pulls it out like a showman. It's very thespian quality performance, and it's just interesting. He just makes it interesting.
Destiny knows where we live.
Destiny knows where we live. What a line!
Because they sent them a letter. Destiny, a thing that will be repeated often in this.
Indeed.
Yeah, doesn't he have a line that I meant to write it down, but he was like, Destiny, you have to be arrived for Destiny who wants to come over and play.
Yeah, are you going to be around?
That's later.
Destiny?
That's later. Yeah, that's the redux of this wonderful
That's
quote.
him trying to make it work for his young. He understands that these are kids, and he's trying to put it.
And he in this beginning scene, well, it's technically the second scene. The first scene that we get is Pete and Ellen in science class. They see a thing about nuclear fusion, and Ellen is struck, realizing that her and Pete could be something nuclear, something explosive that lights up the universe.
Yeah, and Pete kind of deflects, and he's like, "Neat, I never thought about it like that." And Ellen just kind of sighs.
I think it's a heady, it's a heady thing for Pete to take on. I don't think he's not ready to pass that Rubicon just yet, but we will see if maybe he can this episode. But so that's our first scene. But the second scene is the arrival of the letter, and the first line we get is Destiny knows where we live, and he's building these kids up because this is a big moment for him. As you said, Kevin, Mr. Markle, this is his chance. He had one chance before this. Where he screwed up the choreography for the Horn Toads and accidentally spelled out Horniodes on the field.
He forgot to strike out the T. He put the line.
Yeah, he forgot to cross the T.
That's like a pretty, not to nitpick, that's a pretty obvious thing to see. I would think.
It's also like this is why he's such a hard ass. It's this is why he crosses all his T's and dots his I's like it's like kind of a visual pun.
He's got a second chance with an eye.
If he could do it all again, like we talked about earlier, he would rewind in time and cross that T.
Well, Chad, thankfully he will get to do it all again because he has been invited for one more shot at the ring.
Yeah, and I feel like I didn't really osmose this lesson as a kid, but we are kind of meant to ridicule and feel bad for director Markle trying to live through being so affected by his past at a thing that doesn't really matter. Like he's not about the music, he's about winning. And like he could probably be having just as much fun as the kids were if he wasn't so obsessed with winning.
Now, Kevin, I agree with that, but that will be my second bone with the episode.
Oh my God, Paul! Can you just tell me what your bones are?
The second, I don't know. These like the Stations of the Cross. The second bone. Paul fell the first time.
I'm calling on Paul to lay out the bones right now. I'm not waiting for bones.
Whoa! This is how you spread it out. You gotta kind of milk those bones a little bit.
You don't milk bones.
You don't eat your bones before you eat your dinner, Kevin. The bones are all left over after the dinner. That's when you get to eat the bones.
All right. We'll get to the bones. There are good font jokes in this episode. We learned that they're changing their they're going through a few changes now that they're going to states. They're changing their font from Helvetica to Roman Gothic, which is really fucking funny.
Very funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we go from a sans serif to a serif. We're getting a little more ornamented, a little more. Maybe a little more old-fashioned, some would say.
We have one of Pete's friends lean over and go, "Can he do that?"
It's great. I also love the line that this routine will entail pulling off maneuvers not seen since the final battle of the Crimean War, and two maneuvers that haven't been invented yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk. about like never before seen and how like like going off the book and like how like marching band as a thing is like very regimented and very like established.
Yes.
Like Doctorin, perhaps.
Yeah. And this is all done in a really simple simple setup. Nice callback. A really simple setup with this, like basically a two shot, right? We have the audience of the children, and we have Mr. Markle, and this all this information is relayed to us in what feels like a very kinetic back and forth sequence. Though we get the final proclamation, like a judge standing up at his desk, right? At his judge's desk in the courtroom. He stands up and he's like pounding on this table, like pounding in his motivational message to these children. At one point, he swipes his arm across the desk and a paper flies into the air, which he then swipes out of the air with vigor as he's delivering this speech. It is an incredible moment. Again, our performance, they did not plan that paper sequence, but it adds a level of visceral action to this that I think wasn't there because, again, Michael Gaston is putting in an all-time repeat and Pete performance here.
This show does have a legacy of finding not just like, yeah, let's say local actors. That feels weird. Like people are really community theatering their hearts out on this. They don't know where their career is going to go here in the 90s, right? I don't think Michael Gaston knew that he would one day be on The Leftovers, but he is going for it on this strange kid show.
I think the beauty of this show is it's probably high tier enough that it could pull in some names, and they were on a bleeding edge, right? Like Polaris, and they're on the, obviously, with the director of this episode, Catherine Dykman, I believe would be how you would say that name, or Diekman. She directed multiple REM music videos, which means they're on they're hanging out in the cool music scene, right? Like they have all those people, they can pull those people in, but they're also in North Jersey, outside of New York, so they're pulling in very established actors who are, the talent pool is dense here.
Yeah, the improv scene in New York contributed a lot of folks too. Pete. We also get introduced to Markle Jr.
Yes, we get into we move on from the speech and we learn about James Markle. Now, is it his son or is it his nephew?
It's his nephew.
His nephew. Okay, it would be I think a little too simple and probably not off kilter enough if it was his son.
Yeah. You can't really imagine Director Markle fucking, No. He's because he's fucking his career. Right
he's a
now.
Nimrod.
Like,
a nice Nimrod, but a Nimrod.
Is it a nice Nimrod or?
I don't know if it was a nice Nimrod. It was like a half a Nimrod or something along those lines.
He's a Nimrod.
He's not a full Nimrod. Is all I know.
Not the Sentinel mutant hunting machine Nimrod.
I don't.
The biblical hunter Nimrod.
I believe it's not the same, Chad, but I can't confirm that.
I believe they mean Nimrod in the Looney Tunes sense.
Yeah, but wasn't Bugs Bunny referencing like that old Bible character, and that's why we now use the term Nimrod?
Sure.
Did I not learn?
No, you're right.
I learned that recently.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we learn about James Markle. He is the nephew of Markle, and he's probably Markle's best in to motivate these kids. He's taking it the most seriously. He's yelling at children as they do band pull-ups. He's helping them organize into ranks and into groupings so that they can learn their moves together, and he's moving in on Ellen a little bit during all of this.
Yeah, a lot of it. And he's got big Cobra Kai energy.
Yeah. He's handsome. He's handsome. He's cool. He's well dressed.
Yep.
What is he doing that's cool? I guess he's just kind of like
being cool.
He's got handsome boy hair. He's got that hair of
just simply being cool. The only prerequisite to being cool is being cool.
He's a junior as well. Those tend to.
Oh yeah, that does it, yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but I am a junior, and it did not.
Whoa, we were Paul Jr.
Yeah, they're not all winners. All the juniors.
I didn't know that.
Paul, are you Cobra Kai secretly?
I was not Cobra Kai.
Are you Cobra Kai? You gotta tell us if you're Cobra Kai.
Anything,
even if you're ex-Cobra Kai.
If I somehow was Cobra Kai, I would not be main Cobra Kai. I'd probably be one of the other skeletons that didn't touch the kid, that just cheered it on from the outside but felt bad about it and went home and told his parents and quit Cobra Kai that night. If I were Cobra Kai.
We're not saying you are, but that's a lot of good information for the file. Total full frontal victory is proclaimed.
Is that the term they use?
Yes, total full frontal victory is proclaimed and repeated later. And it's funny. It's a funny play on full frontal nudity. Is getting away.
I don't think you can do that in a kid's show.
I don't think you can either, but we did. And it's funny and cheeky, and it's a little something for the adults to snicker at.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great lines in this one. I think they were really firing off some severe Adventure Time influencing volleys of dialogue in this.
Sure.
And we also get, this is also where we're introduced to the B-plot, which I think is a great little Pete B-plot. It doesn't give him a whole lot to do since it's mostly Bus Driver Stu Benedict's story, but it breaks things up nicely and it reinforces the main theme of men stepping up and being emotionally vulnerable.
I think what's nice about this Pete plot, this little Pete plot, is that it's typically Big Pete is the more thoughtful and Little Pete is the more action-oriented character. But I think we get a bit of an inversion here where for once, and Little Pete is always a good guy to us, the children, but I think, Kevin, to your point about Mr. Markle and re-examining his story as an adult, I think as an adult watching Pete and Pete, sometimes you're like, man, that kid really kind of sucks. But in this one, Little Pete is pure hero. There is no Little Pete gets to be, all of his antics are for good, ultimately. In this. Because they're caught in like a Styxian drive through the neighborhood, through the Valley of Death. You know, like these kids are trapped on this never-ending bus ride.
There's a cutaway that kills me on this. Bus Driver Stu Benedict has broken up with his girlfriend Sally Knorp, and he's very sad about it. And he's driving the kids. What used to be a 10-minute bus ride is now an hours-long misery tour around the neighborhood that lasts the entire episode.
Which just to add, I hate that I can't think of this way. This is a thing that Nickelodeon would not let you do now.
Oh,
of a plot of the kids have been kidnapped by their bus driver and can't go home. That would be a wee woo red flag. We can't have this in our kid show.
I think this is why you were talking about does all children's media suck, and I think this is why, because you keep saying like this can't happen anymore, you can't do this, well,
there's too many people worried about those types of things. You can't say anything anymore, you know. You can't you know what I'm saying, like you can't say what you think anymore.
Now you guys are doing a bit as if I'm one of those cancel culture anti-cancel culture people, being more like TV executives are very worried about anything scary to children,
for sure,
despite that most kids are watching like Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man and are not bothered by this.
Right. Well, I think what we were talking about earlier with like the location of this production, like on the edge of New York, and like kind of the circles of talent that it was involved with. You know, they were in with like the edgier music scene that was happening at the time, the alternative music scene. You also get an edgier production style, and I think I was thinking about Nickelodeon when we were going to watch this episode and this era of it, and thinking about just like how many remember, you can't do that on television. That show was messed up. Children were tortured in that show.
kids were slimed.
Yeah, it was the kids were slimed and hung from racks in dusky dungeons. That is a sketch.
Oh my God, you're right. They actually did.
That is a sketch that happened.
Why were those kids in a dungeon?
They deserved it. They did it on television
because it was not allowed to be on television. That's why they did it.
They probably said whatever they probably were the kids from the week before that said the word that got you slimed, the forbidden word. But there was like a danger to this, and I think that's what's beautiful about this show is that it skirts that line like Adventure Time kind of did. Somehow someone fucked up along the corporate lines and accidentally let Adventure Time go on air. And they were able to push the boundaries for so many years, and now we're living in the kind of after wake of that, where people are still getting a little bit of it because you can make money off of that, but you know those waters shall recede, right? They always do.
Yeah, this very much feels like it slipped past the goalie because of how cheap these were to produce.
Yeah,
like you don't really need a whole lot of budget; you just kind of need a script and a camera, and some pretty good actors and some pretty good kids.
Shooting at a school, one of the greatest places to shoot because you have 3 months that they're just not being used, and you can just set up,
smart.
Take it over, and film there. I think that's why there's a lot of indie school based stuff, right? I mean, think about Rushmore, right? Like
Oh, sure,
and
sure.
other there are
but
plenty
now,
of other movies that have taken place at school.
And you would think, actually, now that I think about it, I feel like every modern day kids show I see now, like the Disney Channel, Nickelodeon stuff, it's all soundstage, probably for safety and production reasons, but like, there's got to be an abandoned school you guys could shoot somewhere, right? There's like a...
Yeah, on location shooting kind of seems like one of those delicious niceties that we don't really get anymore.
Right.
Maybe for a scene or something.
You get chock full of it in this show.
Yeah. But I was watching a thing about The Fugitive and how crazy that production was, and how like there wasn't really a script and things were shot in order, and they like needed a reason for Harrison Ford to like be able to escape from this hospital without being followed, and it just so happened that Chicago was having a St. Patrick's Day parade then. So they got like actual that
Chicago's throwing a St. Patrick's Day parade like once a month.
Tommy Lee Jones is just improving all of his lines and like encouraging his other like actors to do the same.
Well, see, here's the thing about that though. Like that's something that doesn't happen a lot in productions, because going to a place, I was just talking about this with Dami actually, about and I think I was talking about it with Alex Fasciane as well, about going to a place, like normalize going back to, and you can't do this because it costs too much money, going to a place with cameras and a script, like a loose script, and like, all right, I got an idea of what we're going to do, and then being like, but anything could happen. I don't know. We'll just film it however works best on the day of. And like, that's when you would get those movies that were like 2 hours long and just like mostly just hanging out and like really good actors just like improving scenes together and finding emotional, moments with each other. And you don't get that as much anymore because everything's really, really expensive to make.
I can see how that might be frustrating as a writer to like have a script and then hear that the production decided to wing it and have fun. And they're like, yeah, and I think we came up with something better. And now we have to change the ending.
Can I throw out a crazy thing? I have been actually thinking, I can't remember if we said this before or after the record, watching a couple of documentaries about, maybe the horrors of children's entertainment, including companies that I have worked for before. I've come to the conclusion, no more kid actors.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Like, I know we're saying this show is amazing, and part of it is because it's great kids. I think we just need to go back to the days of like the 1920s. Well, that's not true. They were giving kids drugs and making them act. Like, just make all kid characters should just be played by an adult with makeup and like a little beanie hat made to pretend to be.
Chad, I'm with you. I just have one little tweak to that formula that I think we're both going to be happy with.
Big giant all day sucker lollipop.
Instead of a kid, put a Muppet in there.
Yeah.
Anytime there would be a kid, it's a Muppet.
It's a Muppet. Yeah. I love it.
That's all you got to do.
So what we're saying is everything is Sesame Street.
Exactly. But we get to have fun with it.
I'm in.
We get to have a good time.
Oh, I wanted to talk about the Stu thing. So we're on the never-ending bus ride with Stu. This forlorn love continues throughout the rest of the show, because I can't remember. I haven't watched this show in chronological order ever. And Kevin, I know you have. Does Stu's relationship...
Chronological order is an interesting problem with Pete and Pete, because...
There is no chronology, really.
There's like the airing order. There is like some sense of chronology to like it, but it's kind of like combined with the magical realism aspect, it does kind of exist outside of time in like sort of a sitcom-y kind of way.
I love that. Apparently this episode was also shot first.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I agree that the real first, like the airing order first episode of Pete and Pete is very strong because it just focuses on the Wrigley family.
Right.
And it takes place in the summer too, so chronologically that makes a lot of sense. But
would you say though that Stu and it's Susan, right? As the
Sally.
Stu and I had it written down. Damn it.
Yeah, played by Ellen Claycorn of SNL.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice, great. She's very funny, and like she's got a really great line delivery. We'll get to.
Yeah, she's great.
You know what line it is. Their relationship though is rocky throughout the whole thing, because I feel like almost every time you encounter Stu, he is on the outs with Sally.
Yeah, but he came, like, we got Stu Benedict come back for the last Pete and Pete we watched, which was the Good, the Bad, and the Lucky.
Right, and that was a great Stu episode.
That was a great Stu
Benedict. I thought we'd already
Benedict.
done this plot. I remember going like, wait, is he always just on the outs with his lady friend? Which, that's a true thing that happens.
Sure.
But at the end of this one, I found myself going, So what exactly, in a sweet way, what exactly was their problem? It seemed like
communication.
He had told her that he cared about her?
Yeah. He couldn't like verbal, like she said I needed to know. So I think he was kind of leaving her hanging on how committed he was to the relationship. Like it's a lack of communication. That's the problem between Pete and Ellen, where, you know, Pete just needs to be like, hey, you know, I care about you.
I'm down. Let's go.
Smart.
Let's fuse.
Smart.
Let's go fusion. Let's go full fusion.
Yeah. Because Ellen's putting herself out there early on with the fusion thing, but she's not really getting any reciprocation from Pete. So I think it's just a communication issue, which, yeah, that's communication's pretty big in relationships, so I hear.
It's also just making me realize, like, maybe this is why I didn't have any high school girlfriends, because watching that opening scene, I was like, I didn't see any signals towards Pete. Oh.
If you look like at Ellen after Pete goes, I never thought about it like that. You can see her roll her eyes and sigh.
He just doesn't get it.
Yeah, it's very subtle. But it's funny, Chad, that you still didn't get that was Ellen.
I still didn't get it. I was like, no, she has no feelings for him. Keep it buried, keep it down below, and everything will be better.
Chad, that's because you're sweet and pure.
Thank you.
Or
uh-oh. Oh shit. What's the
maybe a little oblivious.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely true.
All right, Markle Jr. has begun to horn in on Ellen.
Yeah, he has a really horny touch scene that.
Yeah, the just like how he starts like with one finger on the shoulder and then like increases the crease factor.
He slowly touches the very outer shell of her puffer jacket
with like the hover hand and everything.
It's really creepy.
It was very funny.
He's not. It's just funny. I mean, it's just like he's very timid about this whole thing. And later on he has like a little moment too, but he goes a little further. He has a little more confidence. But very funny how he chooses to portray his flirtation with her. I
appreciate that they got like a Cobra Kai looking preppy kid to be.
What's with you and Cobra Kai today? You just referencing Cobra Kai.
Everything's Cobra Kai with you today, man.
Dude, when it comes to Markle Jr., I just feel like he's fucking Cobra Kai. Not that Paul's very Cobra Kai, but, you know.
If he was, you know, we know the trajectory for him. You know where I stand.
But, like, they could have gotten, like, kind of like a dweeby-looking guy to be Markle Jr., and then, like, I think that might have been kind of better in some ways to have, like, a dweebier-looking dude horn in on Ellen and, like, have Pete, like, not know what to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
And just have him be like kind of like just more confident or whatever. But I mean, then the lame fight scene wouldn't really work. So.
Right. Yeah, Pete clearly feels outclassed, and I gotta say, through this whole episode, there's one outfit that I didn't like, but almost every outfit that Pete wears in this episode is an absolute killer.
I wasn't even paying attention.
To the drip. He comes out. He's got the full denim drip. He has the full denim drip during this first scene with James Markle. With even better. He's got the blue denim, yellow turtleneck. Oh, and it's a nice, like, burnt yellow, beautiful combo. Later on, we see him in a big old blue Harrington jacket, and it is styling as hell, man. He's looking good in this episode. Good job, Pete.
Good job, costumes.
I genuinely watched this, forgot he was the band leader's son, because they were such different.
He's his nephew.
Oh, sorry, but even like family member. Like I was just like, I see no genetic connection between this guy and a balding, a sweaty man yelling about like formations on a grid.
But like,
you know what I mean?
Thematically, I feel like they're both like aligned against our young lovers here.
Sure, they represent to Ellen a sort of political marriage for Ellen. Like enter into a relationship with me, the young Markle, and be the dot of the senior Markle and lead us to victory, and you will fortune awaits.
Indeed. Become a part of the system. Join the system and fall into line and be a cog in the machine, and you will do bigger and greater things is what Markle is saying. And here's bone number one. I think Pete is a little wrong in this episode. That's bone number one. Because you
think Pete's wrong?
A little bit. And I'll say this. I think that Pete has a love for Ellen that he can't act on, and I think he misses his window. And then when he sees her moving on kind of without him and getting maybe a little drawn into this thing and moving past him, he holds on a little tightly, I think. And I also think that Markle, while maybe not using the best tactics, maybe being a little draconian with his measures, is trying to do something, and I think he is looking for himself. He's looking out for himself, and it's mostly about him, which is the Destiny Knows Where We Live, and then eventually turning it to Destiny Knows Where You Live on the kids in an upcoming scene. I think is him making it about himself. But I do think he's trying to accomplish something as a team altogether, and I do think that Pete is a little wrong in not seeing how they could all work together to accomplish something.
He is selfishly, I love Big Pete. In fact, I like Big Pete's stories over Little Pete's stories. Very happy we watched mostly a Big Pete episode.
Yeah.
You're making a point that if you are in this band, I'm assuming it's just like being on a sports team, you are committing months of your time to this thing. And I think I would be annoyed if at the very culmination of all of this, the finals of this, one of my band members decided to hijack the entire thing to display his love for them when he could have just, I don't know, talked to her before or after.
Communication.
All right, yes, but you guys realize that this is magical realism, right?
Oh, no, I know. Kevin, I don't fully believe this. I still am on Pete's side. I want him to have his relationship with Ellen for sure.
You guys know what magical means, right?
The one where everyone's happy is maybe did this happen? I just forgot about this. Would be Pete hijacks the final performance, which is a funny idea, right? To just take the baton and start to lead people around, right? And he forms a sun, and of course the broadcaster can immediately tell what's going on. He's like, "Oh my God, that's a sun and an
magical."
It ends up.
It's fine. It ends up great. I love this part, Kevin. I love this part.
Yeah, no, it ends up working out in the long run. But
do they win? Because if they won the finals because of that,
they did.
Oh, then never mind. I have no problems.
Yeah.
No, they do. They do ultimately. It does ultimately work out. But I'm just saying that I was watching this and I was like, and I was watching it and I was going, Pete is right to some extent, but he's conflating this and he's lying to himself when he says this.
You're just trying to back up your Cobra Kai, bro. You're just trying to back up Markle Jr.
I'm just saying the beautiful people and the people who are naturally cool should be allowed to be cool all the time, and no one should ever undercut them. Ever.
Listen, Big Pete tries to talk to Ellen. He tries to have a conversation with her, but Ellen shuts Pete out. He got there too late, and he realizes that unless he's coming up on a ledge here, he has to do something big, or else he's never going to be recognized by her.
Or Ellen's going to kiss James
Markle
Jr., and she'll forever be tainted by that.
Let me say that I do agree with that, but Pete lies to himself and the people around him to get them on his side by saying that this is about the spirit of the music, guys. He has taken the spirit of the music, and they play a George Clinton song so that they can have a little fun and loosen up briefly, and maybe Ellen will see that she's missing the point of the music again. But
this is supposed to be El Capitan.
Yes, that's what he's. Great line. Another great line.
Can I also just interrupt you? Just super embarrassing moment. I thought for sure that song was written by Red Hot Chili Peppers, and the fact that I didn't know that, they play Love Roller Coaster. And I knew that from the Chili Peppers cover. I just assumed
that happened.
Those talented white boys from California came up with that. And I feel very ashamed that I didn't realize that George Clinton had come up with that.
No, the Red Hot Chili Peppers pulled the wool over all our eyes, Chad.
They pulled the wool sock from right off their cocks over our eyes.
Gross, but accurate. I didn't get this, but I think Pete is. I think he's misguiding himself. He is making something about he's saying this is about all of us and our freedom. No, it's not, Pete. This is about you.
It can be about two things.
I don't think it's about two things. I think it's about one thing.
Two things can align. The pursuit of love and the pursuit of fun and music seem pretty well aligned.
I think Pete, in classic C.I.A. fashion, has found a handy enemy that just so happened to give him the inroads for his evil mission.
I think you're trying to find darkness here.
I'm not trying to find it. I've already uncovered it.
I think Paul is issuing that there is darkness in teenage love when you don't even understand what that means.
Yeah, I think this is
what your feelings are.
I think this. I'm on Pete's side. Let me just say that I am on Pete's side here. But I do think there is an element of darkness, which is a mild bone, only because
I think that's your bone with love. I don't think that's a bone with the episode. I think to love passionately, you might have to incorporate a little bit of selfishness.
Now that's the plot of that's the plot of Dune, and that just leads in a galaxy wide war that kills billions. So I don't know if we should be engaging in that kind of behavior, Kevin.
I think there's a darkness in the vein of, and it's so funny to see these shows going like, oh yeah, this is totally why I really responded to Wes Anderson stuff after this, right? Like I just.
Yeah, it's got the Wes Anderson vibe all over it, which I always need to check. Was Wes Anderson kicking at this point? I don't think he was.
No.
He was alive and functioning.
No, but was he doing anything? Well, he wasn't making his movies yet, but he had to be.
But it might have been concurrent with Bottle Rocket. Let me check when Bottle Rocket came out. 96,
which is 3 years after this.
That was his first, so he's probably still in school.
But he's in school, and he's probably making small, independent, like student films, and I'm sure that the vibe is getting out there, right?
Yeah, because I think the way that Pete sabotages the band is akin to Max Fisher from Rushmore in a flawed character way, making things about himself despite what the pain will cause.
That's what I mean, and I love that about this because I love that it's bone, but it's a little bone that I think that. It's not a bone anymore. It's
just a little bone.
It's just a little bone. It's a beautiful bone that I love now, because I think it gives depth to Pete's character because he's not a perfect person. He makes some mistakes here, and he does maybe dip into a light bit of selfishness in this pursuit of love.
I think passionate love is a little selfish, and you have to be okay with loving someone for your own sake, because if you love someone purely for their sake, that might not like stick together. That's like the courtly kind of
that's like infatuation. That's not love.
So infatuation's very selfish too. Infatuation just seems like an imbalance to me.
Yeah,
you have to. There has to be give and take. Like there has to be like some kind of like. I get that Pete jeopardizes basically this entire. Like he doesn't like clue in any of the other marching band folks, and they are supposed to be a team.
But also they know. Yeah, well, it's funny is he had told. I think this is where Pete's mode of cowardice. I love this now. I am just doubling down on Pete's dark arc here. Pete involved the band for Love Roller Coaster, which was a very funny form of rebellion.
Right.
And I think the kids all were having a good time until Markle's like, well, now you're all going to get punished because of him, which is like, what was the punishment? They're already working hard anyway, but whatever. He drilled them. He made them walk long.
Yeah.
So Pete, in a cowardly way, does not involve the band on this next form of rebellion, right? Mm-hmm. He abandons that level and then goes, I will only do this myself. I am more desperate.
I don't think that's cowardly. I think that's brave. He has no support, so he goes through with it anyway because Ellen's the most important thing to him.
Yeah, no.
Also, a kid could die.
A kid could die. They could walk into each other and bump heads.
Yeah, a kid could have lost formation and wandered into a gopher hole, and that's just endgame.
I'm pretty sure there's a public access road right next to that field that a kid could wander into.
Listen, Big Pete is the only one with any rebellious spirit left. Like, he has to continue raging against the dying of the light, even when everyone else has given up and submitted to what the band leader wants.
Agreed.
What director Markle wants. Like,
we don't have little Pete here. We don't have little Pete here to light that fire, which is normally little Pete's. He's Pete
trapped on a bus. Yeah,
little Pete, who is the purest form of rebellion in this show, is cut off, which is kind of a nice inversion because it shows you how important little Pete is to that element of the show, that rebellion.
And I like that we fly so close. Like, Big Pete flies so close to the sun on this. We see Ellen like sneer at him and go, "You're ruining everything."
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, it's what, like, he's just got to do it.
But he sticks it out. He sticks it out.
Yeah. And then they form the sun and they do the nuclear fusion, and the announcer guy walks everyone in the crowd through it. But they seem to know. Like, you have that lady who faints.
Yeah.
I love the chief. This is Magic Girls. I loved that the announcer immediately could understand this sphere they are forming is the sun.
It's just a circle.
He's writing the history book for that moment. Right, he's sitting there being like, this is the name of this thing, and this is the meaning of it, and this is why it's important, and this will go down in history. And then a woman faints.
How I love Pete stealing the baton and putting this slide trombone in place of the baton and leading the pack. He's doing the calculations in his head. It's
this is brave. If I even was in band, I would be terrified of having that position. Not just I might fall out of step and ruin this whole thing, but everyone,
right?
Everyone has to. If they're following me like a lemmings, like a human centipede, I'm the start of the centipede.
Mm-hmm. Best part of
I'd much rather be lower down the centipede.
Best part of the centipede to be on. Never mind. Okay.
Too much pressure. What I'm eating is affecting everyone. No, thank you. Put me farther down the centipede, please. I'd rather join the group that complains.
One more defense of James Markle. Are you ready?
What do you got,
for this?
Paul? What do you got for this?
When James is flirting with Ellen and gets her into his group, one of their jobs is to blow up an inflatable raft for some reason. I think it's for breath control. And it's never explained, but that's what I can only assume. He does the first blow to get it started, and when it's Ellen's turn to do the blowing, he wipes the valve off with a napkin.
Well, no one said the devil wouldn't be charming.
In fact, many said he would.
I hear that that devil guy. You can put on the moves.
You ever hear that guy on a fiddle?
Yeah. Oh man,
I'd like to put him in marching band.
Yeah, I went down a rabbit hole recently of a TikTok of someone on a violin talking about how that you could argue that the devil went down to Georgia. His violin performance in that is actually not as technically impressive. It's more like showboating versus whatever Charlie Daniels or whoever's playing the violin protagonist. Is actually putting in more impressive violin work. The devil's I
believe his name is Johnny.
Johnny?
I said, my name's Johnny, and this may be a sin. I'll take that bet, you son of a bitch. I'm the best there's ever been. Yes, I believe his name's Johnny, and he's the best that's ever been.
That's ever been. When I also wanted to just call out a couple of dance moves that Artie pulls off when they play Love Roller Coaster. Also, not by George Clinton. I was wrong about that, but he does name drop George Clinton.
Yeah, they name drop. I was like, who is this band he's talking about?
Two of the dances that he does are he's dancing the Voodoo Crispy.
The Voodoo Crispy and the Diesel Jerk.
The Diesel Jerk. The Diesel Jerk is such an evocative, poetic name. I get it instantly. It's because he does this mechanical stuttering move that is like a diesel engine starting up and stuttering and jerking to a halt.
I think it's wild that in one of the early episodes, it's Big Pete and Artie who get an interaction and not Little Pete and Artie. Little Pete and Artie would be like Artie is Little Pete's personal superhero.
Right.
So,
it's nice to see that Artie exists outside of Little Pete.
Yeah, Artie's like a stage hazard of the neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah, this is also where we get our titular shot of Artie just. What would you call that sort of gymnastics move he's doing on the goalpost?
Yeah, from the opening where he's just kind of
that's called a Russian flagpole, Chad.
Whoa!
Oh, yeah, I believe that. It's an impressive move.
I made that up.
That's the coolest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
Russian flag.
Because the Russian flag they hang up dissenters, I'm assuming. That's what you're probably getting at.
They just make their flags out of people over there. They got so many people. and so many gymnasts as well.
Stu and Sally confess their love to each other. They move the buses a little closer to each other, and it's very cute. We get the son and Pete and Ellen get to kiss, and then Pete remarks that they've fulfilled their destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of closes out the episode.
Well, and one thing, sorry, I don't want to pull away from the ending too quickly. I do think that the Stu's plot line in this, which is just, again, a way to hold Pete aside, actually ends up nicely dovetailing because he pulls over and he reveals, he finally communicates to Sally how he feels through not an accident, through Pete actively turning on the external speaker for the bus, which he's been using to talk to the children. And then she hears how he feels about him. They come out, they have a great moment where they both do the exact same hat touch motion and nod at each other. And then kiss. Everyone cheers. And then this moment lines up with Pete, and it's where Pete Pete is hearing these things, and it ties in nicely. And then we have the love reveal, the love
and the kiss. I couldn't believe the kiss.
We get a double kiss episode. It's a great ending. Sally's great line is when Stu is in the midst of trying to communicate with her, but he's feeling a little anxiety towards it. She screams, "Say it, Stu!" And
say it, Stu.
And it's an incredibly powerfully delivered line. It's a great moment.
Sally Knorr, you are my world. I just needed to know. You gotta let your feelings be known.
My favorite joke of the whole episode is when I think right after that they've revealed their feelings to themselves on the speaker, thanks to Little Pete's. It's not a Cyrano de Bergerac. There's some sort of Shakespearean, I feel like, metaphor for what Little Pete did there. But
certainly,
like Ellen Cleghorn is like, "Can I come closer?" And he's like, "Yes." And they drive the buses about
a foot closer,
6 inches closer, 6 inches barely closer together. I really thought that was a funny joke. Yeah.
I loved all the sequences in Stu's Bus too. I did want to talk about it one more time before we wrap this episode up. I feel like there was a lot of improv in those because they have some really good setups, and they're really visually interesting because they have that side-on shot of him as he's talking to the kids. And I really feel like they were just kind of like, I don't know, say what's funniest. Whatever is funny and weird and hits your mind in that moment, go with it. And because there's a lot of stuff.
There's the hardware store where Sally and I bought weather stripping.
Bought our weather stripping, and all the kids moan. The kids all moan at the word weather stripping. The most adult a moment could be.
I know, but it shows how serious they were about each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think this gives enough credit to this episode. I mean, I know it's very in your face, I guess, when they kiss at the end, and I thought they're going to pull their punches back, but somehow they don't. It's a very, like, kids' version of a love story. If maybe you're young enough to think that sort of stuff is like squeamish. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that level of how they're treating most of it, where I think if I was a little boy, I was like, kissing's gross, I still would enjoy this episode about Pete telling someone how they feel about them.
I definitely didn't like the kiss. I did not like the kissing when I was a little kid. I was like, ew about it. But Little Pete being there to like contextualize it for us is like funny, I think.
I think they did a good job of the Stu and Sally kiss was probably because that's adult kissing, which is even more boring to us as kids, right? And you see that, but then they have the kid cheer right after it not because they're kissing, but because they finally got Stu to stop the bus and let them off, right? But it feels like a reaction to the kiss, and it makes that moment a little more bearable. I was watching it with that mind of being like, what a kid really, they probably hate this part. But then they have that cheer, and it bleeds perfectly into Pete's storyline again, creating the momentum for the finale.
And the juxtaposition of two adults and two kids, and both having relationship problems and both like having communication issues is kind of just like this reminder that, like, adults are kind of just, big kids sometimes, and like they make the same mistakes, and it's kind of, I think, a good lesson for like kids to learn. Like they see director Markle being like immature and weird and like trying to sabotage everybody and use his authority, but like, everyone's we're all kind of just people. We're all kind of just like the same, and we're all kind of messed up a little bit. And some of us never really move on from being kids.
I agree. I think that's why my bone that was one of my bones is now a bone of love. I do love Pete's, even though I think Pete was acting a little selfishly in love. That is what love can do to a person. So I think it's realistic and it fits. I'm just saying Pete maybe was a little wrong in this one. And my other bone was, Mr. Markle at the end is directing everything, loses control of the team to Pete when Pete decides to make his move, and we do see him react to it. Then they win, and we don't get a final scene with Mr. Markle, which made me upset. And I understand why you didn't, because it's about Pete and Ellen at that point, and we stay into that story, and we have a very beautiful walk off at the end of this scene that I wouldn't want to cut away from their moment too much. But I did feel like there was a moment for Markle to see that they did win. It seems as if they won. I don't know if it's definite that they won.
Yeah, I walked away that
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But it does to some of those kids. They wanted to win. I just think about little Markle Jr. He's going to go home and his dad's going to yell at him.
It's not about winning. It's about having fun with the music.
Mr. Markle is going to make James mow the lawn 3 times this weekend: Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He's going to make him lower the blades each day.
Oh, he's going to be so steamed at him. What if, like...
I feel terrible for James. He didn't deserve this.
I know, yeah. His dad's already so tough on him, and then he liked this girl. He was really proud to get to be next to her, and he's the top. Did we ever say in this podcast what the dot means?
Yeah, it's the eye. She's the dot of the eye in Squid.
Do we ever say it? I just wasn't sure if the listeners, we clarified that she's the top of the eye.
I assume the listener has watched this 22-minute episode on YouTube, because it's not illegal to type something into a search bar.
But little young Markle, he's like, I'm the top of the eye, and she's the dot, so we're meant to be.
Yeah, they're connected.
I feel so much pressure already in my life, the way my dad is putting this thing about
Not his dad.
Uncle, my uncle dad.
But his father will punish him for not winning the contest.
Yeah. And now being subjected to all of it, I feel so bad for him, you know?
I feel terrible for him, you know, and
what the fuck is wrong with you two?
If I were to join Cobra Kai, I'd take him out for pizza after this, because I'd feel bad for him.
I love thinking about the side characters in any of these adventures, right? Like the kids at Hogwarts that aren't Harry Potter, Ron, and Hermione, like what they must think that those adventures are like.
Yeah.
The side folks. And there's some kid in this episode that was really into winning that band that wasn't a Markle. And you know what? Pete ruined their life.
Maybe the trajectory of their life took a severe downturn there. Maybe they lost all interest in competitive moving on fields.
Fucking good. Like the whole point of this is that the competition is not the point of band. Band competition is absurd. It shouldn't be about winning for you. If music is about winning, that's the wrong fucking message. So if that was someone's whole worldview, then I'm glad their life was destroyed.
I'm not a member. Jesus. I'm not a member of Cobra Kai, but I just want to say, love isn't everything. Okay.
And if you are going to love somebody, love them as if heaven is real.
Conditionally.
You still have
love
to go to heaven later.
Love them conditionally, okay?
Love conditionally. Hold back, is what they're trying to say.
Protect yourself.
Now,
I just am sad that Mr. Markle doesn't get a final thing, because I truly do think the performance from this, that's really my big up. That was truly what my bone was. I just really loved this character. I thought he did a great job, and I didn't think he deserved a bow to the audience at the end. That's all.
I thought he did a great job too, and it would have been nice to have a little redemption moment for him rather than just having him as an ogre that needs to be defeated.
Yeah,
like
I would like to, after they had won, not using his formation, he just turned to dust. He just
at least that.
Like the Nazis opening the Ark of the Covenant just melted.
Oh, from the heat of the sun that they created.
Yeah, from the heat of the sun, the nuclear fusion. You know the way Sarah Connor in that nightmare scenario sees herself burning on the metal chain link fence.
He should have been. He should have been escorted off as he tried to run this. He tries to rush the field. He is being escorted off. He breaks free right as they fuse. He grabs a hold of the fence and he screams, "No!" And then the fusion happens and he melts and disappears. And then as his angel is going up to heaven, he says, "Love is worth it." And that's his bow to the audience.
You're a dancing animal. The point was to dance. It wasn't about getting to a specific location. Life wasn't a journey.
Agreed.
What was that horn that Artie was playing in this? By the way?
I think it was just like a blue man group pipe horn.
It was like a plumber's pipe.
Did
he just find it on the set and just muck around with it? It feels improvised.
It looked like Dr. Seuss drew it and he pulled it off the page and used
Artie brought that shit from home.
It's a wild.
Toby Huss had that at home. Oh, I was assuming the character or the actor, but yeah, I believe either way.
It's a wild pipe. It makes a really cool noise. I'm a fan of it. My final bone was actually.
No, wait. Before we give us the final bone, before it's like hashtag the last bone, can you lay out what exactly the bones were?
Okay, first bone.
First bone was that Mr. Markle, I thought was kind of in the right. I think Little Pete was a little wrong in this.
Okay.
The other bone, I believe, was those were kind of both tied into. There was sort of one bone was the thing where I thought Little Pete was wrong.
It's like a bone that fused together.
Yeah, it was the primary bone was that I thought Little Pete was wrong, somewhat wrong. I thought Little Pete was being a little selfish. That was the first one. Second one was Mr. Markle. I thought was so good in this that I thought that that was like a bone that was growing off of that bone. I thought that he deserved one final scene. That was a little mini bone. And then the final bone, the final bone is that I just thought that Ellen's descent into dot madness could have been a little bit more played up. She is shown being used by the team, and she's in like a trance. But there is a great shot of her looking at the dot on a page of her notebook, and I love that moment. I would have loved to have seen a little more magical realism of her maybe looking at eyes in places and like being like the seeing it everywhere around her, and it being more of like you see that she's truly been like bewitched by the dot.
Yeah.
I would have liked a little more of that.
Well, we kind of see that in The Dot, the 1 minute short that precedes.
I watched the Dot short before we watched this, and I was kind of expecting a little more of that because of that.
Well, they only have a minute. They have 1 minute.
What's the story here with this short film, The Dot?
It was made before.
So early on in like the Pete and Pete life cycle, they were given like a minute to like do a proof of concept kind of thing that would air on Nickelodeon, and I think the Nick executives were like hesitant to give them money to do an actual show, because they were an animation network and they didn't think kids would want to see live action stuff.
It's very similar to what Adult Swim did, right?
Yeah.
Where they would have like micro shows, then they would have like 10-minute shows. So I think it's like, I think it was Nick did this a lot, where you would see like little animated like claymation things, right? Like they would do those little 1 minute kind of mini episodes to kind of test the grounds and see how kids reacted to things.
And to keep kids from clicking away during a commercial break.
Right.
So there's some sort of insidious nature to these like little shorts. But...
and I was going to say, we were talking about compromises. I do think that I would assume that Mr. Markle did have an outro scene, but it probably cut due to time, which is fine. Again, I think the ending of this is so beautiful. The music that they do, it's another Polaris song. And it's I've listened to this Polaris Pete album many times, and this has always been one that stuck out to me. I can't remember what the track's name is though.
Yeah, you got that Polaris EP? You got that?
Yeah, I got the album, dude. It's a full-fledged album.
We'll hook it up.
It goes, "Are you crazy, man? Did you notice her? Like, you didn't notice her, or something like that." Like,
is it She Is Staggering? Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's She Is Staggering. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great song. The music in this is great. This is directed by the same director who did 2 REM music videos, Shiny Happy People and Stand, both of which are central. The central conceit is a group of people dancing in rows, which I think is interesting because a lot of the shots in this are utilizing that strength of shooting a large group action. Also, a lot of color and Wes Anderson style shots of objects throughout both of those REM music videos. There's also another video for an artist called Kristen Hirsch, who I don't know, but the song has Michael Stipe from REM in it.
It's got Stipe.
It's got Stipe, baby. And
Michael Stipe, I love anytime he's on camera, because he clearly hates being on camera so much.
Oh my goodness, especially in Shiny Happy People.
Oh, is he a little bashful, Stipe?
Yeah, he doesn't want to be there.
You can tell he's not happy.
He should do a C.I.A. thing where he like puts a mop over his head.
Well, he wears a fun backwards hat in Shiny Happy People, which is kind of like that.
He isn't. But Michael Stipe is in Pete and Pete. He has one scene where he like really stumbles to get his lines out.
Oh yeah, we haven't watched that episode.
That's the Mr. Tasty episode, which is a great episode.
That's right. I know. How would we not watch that one? That's like the most legendary one, I think.
We'll get there.
It's up there.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
I love that episode. In the summertime, if you guys want to watch some summer Pete and Pete episodes.
Yeah, I'd love to cool off with it.
We should definitely do that
Mr. Tasty.
at the height of summer.
Orange Lazarus is the other one that.
Oh yes, the Orange Lazarus. It's like an Orange Julius that shuts down, right?
Orange Lazarus is like it's like a performance enhancing drug.
Yeah,
what?
It's like a.
I don't remember that at all.
It's like an Orange Julius style drink.
Yeah, the whole baseball team gets addicted to Orange Lazarus or something like that.
The quote that I just found. You think you drink it? Mm-hmm. No, it drinks you.
It was too cold.
I think it's really interesting, though, that a lot of her elements of, again, people dancing in lines is used. And then I was looking at the other two, and they're so different. They're black and white. They're really kind of almost seemingly joyless, as opposed to the other ones, which are extremely joyful. But there's a lot of beautiful close-ups that she does. And I think in this episode, especially in the sequence where Pete is getting yelled at by Mr. Markle, the facial close-ups of the kids are really nicely lit and really nicely composed.
She really likes close-ups, like object worship kind of stuff.
That's
where,
the Wes Anderson object shooting. It's very intricate and really, really, really meticulously lit objects.
Yeah, how do you shoot a still object in a way that is interesting?
Interesting, yes.
Is like a really interesting problem. And prop work, because we see... There's in the Kristen Hirsch video, she produces a key from her mouth or something like that.
Yeah. There's some magical realism in a music video. Obviously, is filled with that, and I think she brings a lot of that into this episode. And it was just interesting to go watch. I watched all the music videos that I found listed on our Wikipedia. And it was just interesting to kind of be like, oh, I see how those elements worked into this episode specifically, and how she was chosen to do this episode.
I kind of zoned out during the Sharon Von Etten one, though. I got to be honest, that didn't have a lot to hold me there.
No, but that one was a little mund. It was 6 minutes long. I mean, come on.
Kristen Hirsch has Michael Stipe in there.
Yeah,
we got Stipe.
Fucking love Michael Stipe.
You get to see him be uncomfortable, and that's always fun.
He doesn't like being on camera.
No, he does not.
And I think that is a charming quality of a person.
Agreed.
Agreed.
That's a healthy sign of a person.
I like when people have shame.
It's endearing. It's endearing when people have shame.
Shame's hot.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think? Has that been a Pete and Pete?
That's been a Pete.
Jokes aside.
Yeah.
On Big Pete's story, I was so happy to dive back in to this happy world. I wish we were back there.
No bones about it. This was a good show.
We only even do these episodes and feel encouraged to do these vacations in P and Pete land because of you listeners, and especially the support and encouragement of our wonderful Patreon supporters. They have been there, not just financially keeping the show going, but also emotionally supporting us as these last 2 RL episodes really just kind of struck at our soul crystals. And made some big fractures.
I think they were good episodes, of Goosebuddies, but they did take a little bit of a mental toll on us, and it's nice that we got some people in our Discord being like, you guys should refresh with a Pete and Pete episode, or I hope you guys get to cover something you like, which is nice. I like it when our listeners are supportive to us in many ways, and one of them is by giving us money, and the other one is by being concerned for our mental health.
Likewise, if you want to be one of those wonderful folks, or maybe you already are, and you just want to log in and see your user account and get all those cool perks that you already have access to, you can go to patreon.com/goosebuds. Any amount helps, but if you pay at the $5 level, you get access to everything, our cool exclusive Discord. You can vote on what books we're covering next. You get our monthly bonus episodes of Camp Goosebuds. We just dropped a new one. We talked about a bunch of video games. We tried to define what a good video game protagonist is. We talked about moving couches. Really, really good, meaty conversation.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/goosebuds.
Thank you for the support.
Thank you.
What else should, if anyone else listening, what else do you want to check out besides, go watch Pete and Pete? Here's my tip of something to go look out. Technically, this is illegal. But there's nothing illegal from Googling Disney TV animation leaks. All of the development pilots and Bibles for a bunch of cartoons the Disney TV animation we're doing all got leaked this week. I encourage you to check them out, including one pilot by Jonan Vasquez and Jenny Goldberg of An Important House. Pilot that was very fun and cute and has some finished animation and was lost forever on a server, but now it's not.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, go check that out.
That's sick.
Chad, did I ever promote our Hard Cannon episode on
No, I forgot it. I forgot it came out.
If you guys want to give me $1 or whatever over at givekevinmoney.com, you can listen to me and Chad talk about Weird Al Yankovic's UHF.
Oh, great movie.
We recorded that episode 2 or 3 years ago.
Was that a pre-pandemic podcast?
No, it was during the pandemic. It feels like there's less and more weight on us for that.
Yeah. But specifically talking about not just Weird Al, but his one and done movie comedy UHF.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And I think it's a great conversation. And I'm proud to ask you to give me $1 to listen to it. But there's also a full season of Hard Canon that's 12 episodes. Paul's on there twice.
Wow.
And you can listen to all of that on the internet for free at givekevinmoney.com. I think that's the only place I have it up anymore. I used to pay to like put it up in a place, but now just come over to the Patreon, guys. You can listen to Hard Canon season 1 for free. And if you want to help me make Hard Canon season 2, then maybe give me $1. GiveKevinMoney.com.
Give Kevin money, please. And my other recommendation will be go listen to Music from the Adventures of Pete and Pete by Polaris and have a nice time.
My God, yeah.
Have a good old jangling time.
Paul, that's all you're pushing people towards, the Polaris record? Not,
that's it.
Continue
That's
show.
it.
I'll say
baby.
Continue Show as well, because that show is good, and I like it.
Yeah. Paul, you're always too humble about Continue Show. Continue Show is still one of the most enjoyable entertainments on the internet.
Well, thank you. Well, thank
you
you.
gave us the word hentai diluvian, and nothing's ever going to be the same.
Before the flood of hentai.
Yeah.
Well, otherwise, boys, thank you for being my friends and my co-host and watching this nostalgic episode. I had a great time, and I'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
See you then. Bye-bye.
Break the rules for love.
March in formation. Bye.
Cobra Kai, please call me.
This episode of Goosebuds has been brought to you by our beloved patrons in our Book of Names.
The Book of Names.
We'd like to thank Stefan, Jive Turkey Kuwabara,
Low Belly Hate Me,
Hollis Hornbeak,
Nathan Dozal,
Mike Lanteri,
Mickey C,
Michael McDowell,
Hey Josh Rob,
Cameron Murphy Audio,
Buddy Moral,
Mel Dipson,
Alacade,
Afsheen,
Dango Twists,
Zenticles,
Stealth, a beautifully fleshed skeleton base.
Wow, Robert Moon,
Brian Wells,
Jason Crooker,
Miguel Pardo,
John Keaty,
Clay Castle,
Calf,
The Juggalobalist.
Rite Aid Sucks, and Bring Back Paranoia Shop.
They're both dead. They're both dead. Gregory D. Warren,
Cody Redfield.
Bradford Coulter.
Ooh, Aiden thinks Kevin is IRL Senshi Dungeon Meshy. Thank you.
I assume that's a compliment.
I mean, he's a sexy man in my eyes.
You know who's also sexy in my eyes is Jar Jar Slinks.
Ooh, chosen one for sexual deeds.
Leviathan.
Up and Champ.
Jonas Engman.
The John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation.
Carl.
Anthony Mulberry.
Yanni Markovina.
Elusive Koala.
Christian Van Skeever.
Brooke X.
Jesus Christ.
Jeremy Lowe.
Brian Hobgood.
Zach Connor.
Patreon_donator, comma yo.
Joe, Spooky Digital Ghost, Tierney.
Tom Whittam.
Lord Cornwallis.
Andrew Jadsack is noticing the entity under the ice acting a little bridezilla lately.
Oh, do I hear wedding bells for the entity?
Which one of the Goosebuds is marrying the entity under the ice?
I would love that to be our Ice Church season finale.
Tune in this summer.
Murphy P.
Carson Burkabean.
Tevin Ticklebean versus a little apple boy born of a seed. That's some Momotaro throwdown energy right there.
I've seen an anime called Appleseed.
Whoa.
Sean Minogue.
Reggie Glenn.
Wiggle it!
What's Appleseed about?
I don't know. Like hot chicken robot.
Got it. Sounds good. Luke LaFountain.
Matt McClellan.
Chip Hansen.
Tanya Turtle.
Alicia Grafe.
Juan Jalapena.
Timothy Misodulakis.
Keith Halcrow.
Clay McCarty.
Ham_boat.
The Crow Fens, but seasonal.
Raymond Hernandez.
Matthew Sutton.
John Barber.
Jeff Coffey.
Kelsey Kinnaman.
Russell Castberg.
Xavier Jimenez Castillo.
Scotty Pippin.
Chris Butrikis.
Sarah Kemp.
Flemily.
Jonas Blotterman.
Tobias Clark.
Dungeon Kappa.
Zach Weir.
Limp Duck.
In the ice part of the ice, join the entity.
In holy
okay.
matrimony, perhaps?
Someone going to go to Ice Church. Gonna marry the entity.
Meet Virginia?
Yeah. Alex Mood, the robotic dog.
Paul Grasso.
Joe, regular name, Scott.
Estamina, Lord of Paul's Pants.
Chris, late night with a spooky donger, Nelson.
Streak.
Luke Knoodles.
For some reason I saw 3 E's in Streak when they're clearly just a regular number of E's.
We should get you some sleep, buddy.
Hey, we should get no one anything. Zambambino.
Kieran McNamara.
Hugh Bolin.
Diet Soda.
Lamb.
Jackie L.
Coleman Laguza.
A pair of Scots.
Levi Kidder.
Getting frisky in the lobster biscuit.
David Gray, and then good luck, Chad.
Rats.
Nice, perfect. Jonas Enevoldsen.
Scared of rats. Matthew Bertado.
You're scared of rats?
Well, I'm more scared about rats that like hungry rats that'll eat me like in 1984.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that wouldn't be very good. I don't think most rats will do that.
I guess I'm really more scared of fascist governments than rats.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would be bad. Glad we don't have one of those. Bryce Thierry.
Nathan Remick.
Need more kimchi. Keeps being reminded of Paranoia Shop and that banger intro. Bring that back at least.
You know who has that? LOLJK. Check out that podcast. Joey, he's got that theme song somewhere. Hit him up. But also, yeah, it's gone. Stop trying to bring back the past. Bury it. As Kylo Ren said. Lee Wood!
Some of Chad's bird friends have left the Midwest and returned to the Northeast.
Oh, come back to me.
You're neither of those places.
I know, yeah, it's actually, never mind. Well, I think my heart is always still in the Midwest, you know?
Well, welcome back to the Northeast, some of Chad's bird friends, if you had me.
Well, yeah, you're hanging out with Kevin and Paul. You're doing good. Reed Stubendiek.
Ma the Meatloaf.
Joe Gorman.
Burger's Wonderful World.
Nicholas Maloney.
Joey Evans.
Andre Villanueva.
Tiffany Lee.
Eric Horwitz.
Carewise Gamgee.
Thomas Jansis.
Mutant Astronaut.
That Val got mutated, sounds like.
Yeah.
Lucretia McEvil.
Cameron Hansen.
A wild swaggy yellow squire appears. Attack it!
Wow. Henry Torpere.
Boner Guard Epsilon Hamilton, aka Hambone, host of Radio Bone Air.
Noise. The Deadly Bulb.
Generally depressing.
Adam Knapp.
Ben Bohan.
Logan Derby.
Chick.
Brad Schmelzer.
Anthony won't be dropping out of college again, god damn it.
Whoa. I
feel like there's a story there we don't know about.
You can drop out if you want to, man. Callum, Mr. Misfire West.
Rah, fight the power. Tacky Tammy.
Skeltorin.
Mandy Nasty.
Yoplin. Calamity Carl.
This little group of names is always just like, you guys are just a bunch of Beetlejuice characters. Tacky Tammy, Mandy Nasty, Germ Juice, Calamity Carl.
They're all in a gang.
Yeah. Philip Reynolds.
Nick Johnson.
Nate Bitg.
Mr. Unimportant still wonders what Chooch is up to sometimes. Chooch just keeps on chooching. He's fallen into very large debt.
Oh no, we gotta get him out of there.
Yeah, we gotta help out Chooch.
Boss Garrettson.
Scott Wable.
Ryan R. Davis.
Jeremy Bowser.
Ryan Carroll.
Evdog.
Megan McCormick Mason.
Ninja Breadman.
Llama Lad.
Helodicus Frenchland.
Aaron Lord.
Greg Musto.
Dr. Chuck.
Robot Arena.
Sprinkle Buns.
Hi, first time, long time.
SSJ Trogdor.
Ollie Suds.
Mike Hart.
Mike Spaghetti Jones.
Gulliver.
Cassandra Harris.
This next name is my favorite.
Kira and Brian are big fans.
Big Nick Lane. That's like a super setup of like one name hyping up the next one and then hyping up the next one.
Yeah, that's the big corner. If the last one was the gang corner. Willem Dafoe made shepherd's pie just for geese buds.
Oh, I would eat the fuck out of that.
I fucking love shepherd's pie, dude.
Blake Cavan.
Dan Antonio.
Ferretu.
Soggy Newspapers.
John W.
Dakota Kemp.
Chris Kulik.
Quest humbly asks whoever reads this for a goblin to grade. The first goblin I asked you to grade, Quest, was, I think, the old school Magic the Gathering Goblin King. The latest Secret Lair has a new Goblin King portrait.
Oh!
Yeah, and it's like Goblin King if he was a playing card, and it's pretty good.
Okay.
It's not worth it for like the money Secret Lair asks you to pay, but it's pretty good art.
But like, wait, in the playing card is of a playing card?
So it's it's set up like a playing card, like it's got it's like reversible or whatever, but it because of that, it has no room for the text of what the card does. It just has the stats on it. So
well, that's annoying.
Yeah, so Wizards likes doing that, where they just remove the text from the thing, and they're like, yeah, you know what it does. A lot of people don't know what it does, Wizards.
Wait, you're supposed to just look that up online? Come on, Wizards.
No, you're supposed to know, because you're already, like, in the thing. Like, you're
Jesus
already...
Christ.
And, like, I can't tell what I dislike more, is them thinking that I'm a fan of Magic the Gathering, or them thinking that I've never heard of Magic the Gathering before.
Well, now we know what Kevin's grade of that goblin is, but Quest, hit us up.
It's good art. It's good art.
Postmaster.
Saturn Video.
Cole Gleason.
Chris Curto.
Michael Malloy.
Kiwi of Lerv.
Jesse Boggs.
Serial Killer X.
Kyle O'Neill.
Time Eats Flesh.
Yeah, not Tim eats flesh. Time eats flesh, which is true.
Whoa.
Running up that hill, Kid Bush.
Siracin.
Wonderskin.
Tan your hide.
See, those also go together. Like, you tan your hide and you make Wonderskin.
Yeah, it's the skin corner.
Yeah. Joe over the Moon.
Dennis Wright.
Brony Danza.
Anthony Stoker.
Cameron Ganzeveld.
Wonderskin. Again.
Once again. Feels like real skin. Rat IRL.
Ah, scary.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm scared again.
You're getting all the rat ones. Max De La Fontanelle.
Dog Lips Kajoyan.
Woo. Number one Celasta fan. Thanks, Kevin. Hell yeah.
Kevin, is this just you?
It might be. I don't know if anyone else likes Celeste.
You got a Fight Club alternate personality that subscribes to Goosebuds and just wants to talk about Celasta.
Holy shit. I'm glad Celasta found the one other person it was supposed to find.
You've doubled its sales. Skeet Door.
Matt Septor.
Hurt, aka Cyberbully.
Greg, leader of the Gregorian chanting monks on surfboards, ripping gnarly solos behind synthwave beats, while I, lieutenant of...
Wait, so you're not even the leader of the Gregorian chanting monks? Or, Greg, we need to know more what you're going on. What is your story you have here?
Greg, please post your full name in the your full Patreon descriptor in the Discord as an incentive for people.
Yeah, if you want to know, the lore, you gotta join this name. Talene.
Chad is mad rad and would make a good dad, but I'm sad. Tonight 11.
Aw, son, come here, son.
Aw.
Blarbin.
B.
Anthony Rodriguez.
Starship 9.
S.
Odin's eye hole.
Ew, gross. Thank you. Logan Kilgus.
Chef, Big Baby, and his wife. Not a big baby.
Hey, come here, big baby. Come under my dad.
Father Chad.
Daniel Hirschberger.
Creature of the Office, Boss Ferratu.
Turaku, the thing that goes doink in the anime.
Spencer, why?
Canadian Ghoul, learning Mandarin, their third language. Lucky, I'm still working on my first.
Grab Bomics.
Shadowheart Gun D Tyrannosaurus.
Problem Child 2 on DVD.
Great movie when he puts the cockroaches in the salad. Terrifying. Captain Billy Beard Byers.
LOD.
Kumquat Behavior Podcast.
Clint Deerking.
Agents Miskatonic.
Nail 7.
Smellodies.
We gotta get Elodie and Smellodies together.
Oh, I know. Come on, guys. I don't know what you could do. Just keep us supporting.
Yeah. Angelo, Edward, Longton, Santone.
3 a.m. sleep.
Ben Floyos Sayer.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't know. Spencer Leith Johnston.
Caleb Snyder kept forgetting to change his name.
Good for you, Caleb. Lumo Nuva.
We love a forgetful king. Brian Udath.
Bob Cabbage.
The Shrekronomicon.
Number 1 Gnome.
Nowhere Lucas.
Jolly Old Jules.
Jafar wonders what song has been stuck in your head recently. Love Keeps Kickin' by Martha.
Ooh, I haven't even heard that one. I'll look that one up.
If you like Power Pop, that's Power Pop.
I do like a power pop.
Do you have a head song, Chad?
The entire Chapel Roan recent discography album has been going nonstop.
I don't know that. So we have.
Oh, she's like a new Lady Gaga meets I don't know, like a little more country. I don't know.
Okay, I'll check that out.
She's very gay.
Cool.
Herpy Derpy drowns in dumb as shit sauce.
Complex.
Attack. Geege.
We're getting into the hard ones. We're getting into the ones we don't like. We can't just like.
Yeah, this is abstract corner. Yeah.
Seal Reagan, the birthday cat, May 28th. Oh, happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. Justin.
Taylor Garofalo.
MC Wright.
Jaybird.
Tig-ass Biddies 007.
Nintendo 60 Jorts.
Those go together.
Yep.
Crazy ass nipples.
Matt Noah.
Jorge Raya Navarro.
Mimel the Delph.
Oh my god, he's coming for us. Jim Corey.
Quinn.
Olympia Streets.
Jackie Bay.
Daniel Lavelle.
Oh, Spaghetti the Yeti.
Oh, he's made of spaghetti. Carly Beth's parents, 808. Carly has permission to play Beyblades in the annex.
Incredible energy on that one.
Yeah, I like how that's hidden.
Wyvern.
Tutan Watson.
And welcome to the Book of Names, our first timers, Steamed Ham.
Singular. A singular steamed ham.
One lone steamed ham.
Shelly, welcome Shelly Castillo Garcia.
Welcome Lee Murphy.
And welcome Angus Keith. Thank you all so very, very much. We love you all.
We love you all. Thank you.
Goodbye. Or I'll stop recording.